Begin. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Today I'm going to take the unit 7, which is, regarding the grainage. So in this topic, we are going to see basically about the different kinds of seed production centers, what are grainages or the seed processing units, and how a basic grainage plan is going to be, and the equipment which is used. And also we are going to see how we are going to transport and preserve the seed pockets. So what are grainages? The grainages are basically places wherein you have large quality and quantity of disease-free layings, that is your DFLs or the silkworm present. So you have a lot of production over there. It's an entity. And this is used for production of the pure and hybrid seeds. These centers are more popular as commercial like production centers, and they also have a direct link with the seed raiders. So they encourage progressive farmers and they also encourage the private sector. There is a link between the private sector and the grainages as such. And farmers that are always there, they are going to produce good quality cocoons so as to, the grainage will be able to accept it. So that, for the supply of a high vigor, disease-free commercial seed that is going to be present. So these seeds produce cocoons having a rich silk content and high yield. So, and a grainage should have good facilities, proper facilities, wherein you have good environmental conditions present. You have to have huge area and spacious rooms, and there should not be any kind of water stagnation in such kind of a place around the grainage building, because that will also affect the humidity around it. And at the same time, subsequently, it is easier for the different kinds of viruses, bacteria to be propagated through such kind of areas where there is stagnation of water. And also it should be like, there might be a chance of air water pollution to be taking place. So in this case scenario, this drainage building should be away from factories, pesticide industries. And usually amongst the villages, since you do not have any kind of factory setups, it is, suggested that, such kind of areas you can set up the drainages. So what will happen is you have local as well as, you have employment which is taking place, and you have that farmers also technically who have the knowledge about it. And then you have a training program wherein the unemployed youth can be trained so that, they can go for commercial rearing. Now, how should a modern grainage look like? And how should a model of the grainage look like? So you have to have certain prerequisites, that is certain pre-existing conditions for the sake of a grainage to exist. That is, one is building location, grainage building equipment that you're going to use, technical staff, because people should have proper knowledge on rearing of the cocoons, and how well, for commercial rearing especially. Location, like I already told you, sometimes you need cooler places. Sometimes you need, seed areas. They should be away from such kind of places. And at the same time, you need to have, what do you call it? If it is like, away from the seed area, then you will have transportation cost involved in it. So eggs and cocoons, if at all they're going to be transported, you don't need such kind of places for grainages to be located which are far from the commercial producing areas. So transport of seed and cocoons, especially in the summer, is going to be disastrous as such, because they either will not hatch properly or they will die because of the heat and the respiration heat also that is going to be coming out. And if they're not packed properly, that will also cause a problem. So high temperature leads to pupal death, melting of the cocoons, irregular hatching, and more number of dead eggs. So all this again hampers the complete rearing activity as such, and commercially it is not going to be, it is going to be of a loss. If seed cocoons are transported in high temperature, this leads to poor moth emergence. So what will happen? You have an increase in the cost and reduce the number of links. So all of this is to be avoided, and you're not going to transport them during either, peak heat of the day. So you either transport them early morning or early evening, late in the evenings, or whenever there is absence of high temperature. So we are not even looking at the temperature that is summers basically. Further, surroundings should be pollution free because again, egg production is hampered. Labor. We need a lot of labor, technical staff, which is very important because we are talking about seed cocoons is very short because they have a very small lifespan. Large number of cocoons are present utilized for the egg production, and processing of this is extremely labor intensive. You need a lot of skilled laborers. Okay, and then number also is more. Besides this, the technical staff availability of the labor is one prerequisite. Otherwise, the whole, even if you have the most suitable drainage area, it is not going to be economical at all. Seed rearers. Drainage should have proper number of seed rearers where the rearing centers are near to the technical support and supervision. So in case you put it in a village, then it becomes labor, the labor comes from the nearby areas, and at the same time you do not have pollution, you have a pollution free environment as such. So it is going to be economically very favorable. So when you see the model of the drainage, you can actually see it's around, you have to see that it is in a very huge area requiring a specific environment for every drainage activity that is present. So you have a separate convenient building that is required with different kinds of environments required. So especially good ventilation should be there, and you should be able to control the light, temperature, humidity, and various other factors so that all of this is under control. And then good ventilation should be there. Of course, you have to use even dark spacious rooms for cocoons to be preserved, and the building should be well planned for all of these activities as such. So you can see the front side and the building ground plan. You need a lot of open spaces, and then you have 25 feet, and you have they've given the area, how much of it is the basic open space that has to be maintained, what are the different kinds of units that you can have, or you can see all this cocoon or pupil storage around 20 by 20, 20 by, what do you call it, around, yeah, 20 by 20 more or less. And you have again cocoon or pupa storage. You have the egg laying, coupling and decoupling should be done over here, and all the rooms both on the left and the right should be available easily. And then you should have a cold storage room, moth presentation room. You should have a plant room, generation. So plant room is where, basically, where you store your mulberry leaves, such kind of stuff probably. So that is one more thing. And then you have a generator because all of this should be under control. So light, temperature, humidity. So you need a generator as well, and a store place, seed process, different kinds of incubation rooms, offices, seed cocoon processing area, moth examination, dormitory, of course. Whenever there is labor, you need a canteen as well as such. So this is your basic ground building plan. So you can see again different kinds. You have your reception processing rooms, pupation rooms, coupling decoupling rooms, egg laying chambers, moth examination hall, pupil examination hall. Like I told you, if at all they want to check for the pebrine disease, they're going to take the pupil gut and check. So you need a moth examination hall at the same time whether the moth is good or not, whether it is having the proper traits that has to be that are the prerequisites for the line or the race to follow. And at the same time you need the incubation chambers and the cold storage room, the offices and the dormitories, and of course a general and a pierced cocoon store should be present. Now the size varies accordingly, so you need to have around 25 lakh disease-free layings per annum for it to be produced. This is the industrial seed production drainage layout that has been given. We are looking at a capacity of 25 lakh disease-free layings per one single year. So yes, the whole thing is a huge investment, and for it to be viable, economical, you need to have all of these prerequisites. Now, staff also. Three components of it is usually taking care of the staff, that is supply of the parent seed cocoons, processing of the cocoons, moth examination, disposal of the seed which is not good. All these are carried out by the technical staff. So if it is a 15 lakh capacity, it should have at least 16 technical staff. So 16 staff who knows all of the details from A to Z to carry on the process of the egg production. Now, what are the different kinds of equipment that is used in this particular grainage? You get to see that the grainage equipments, they have specific functions and they are made in such a way so that, that the transport and the handling of all the cocoons is easy. And then, they should, be in such a way that the equipment is used to control the disease, if at all there is any kind of disease incidences, and then they should be able to be sterilized, and you should see that there are no ants or there are no light, and the moths are kept undisturbed. The grainage equipment and the details are as such. So you need a cocoon preservation rack wherein you're going to have trays containing cocoons, pupae and the moths. Around each rack should have around 10 trays as such, and they have given you the height and the length and the width of the length breadth of the rack, how it should be. Cocoon preservation trays, again you need separate trays to spread the pupae and the cocoons. Again, they are of different sizes and shapes. So if at all, if it's a it's a bamboo tray that is going to be used, this is going to be used to spread the cocoons. Very light, easy for transport, easy to clean, and it is low cost, that is cost effective. It can be made at any village for that matter, and they've given you the size of it. Wooden trays are of two types. Bottom of the tray is made up of plywood or a wire mesh. So copulation, that is wherein, the mating of the moths is taking place in such kind of a tray, and then the moths are collected. Plywood bottom is used for the oviposition, measuring around 95.1 into 61 centimeters. Now you also have ant wells. This is because ants cause a lot of damage to the cocoons and the moths. So ant wells are used to control the ants attack. See, anything is not completely foolproof. So we need to have countermeasures also. You cannot prevent ants from coming all the time. So you have ant wells. This ant well is again, kept under the legs of the rack, and the ant well is around 4 centimeters. Basic, you can either, if at all it's an ant well, you can take small basic cups also and then fill it with water. This can be done by anybody, in fact, and at any point of place. If at all, people who are staying in the villages or where, the ground has, mud beside them, that is when you just take a bowl of water and then immerse the legs of the cot that you're sleeping in that bowl of water. So what will happen is if at all ants come in, they fall into the water. Simple. And crawling can also be controlled using enamel plates or plastic dishes or plates. So cloth dipped in kerosene gamaxine. Gamaxine is known as your 666 or linden also. This is going to be spread around the racklets. This is also going to serve the purpose. So this is how the cocoon preservation tray is. The rearing stand, which is wooden. In this you put the trays as such, and then you have a wire mesh bottom over here. This is the ant well that is present. You can see, and this is the grainage tray, which is wooden. And then this is your moth crushing set. We will come to this again. Then you have a basin stand, which is a tripod stand that is present. You can, you get to see, what do you call it, this basin stand can hold a basin filled with around 2% of formaldehyde or formalin, and this is used to wash, sterilize hands while entering the room. It is kept nearer to the cocoon preservation room, moth preservation or egg laying rooms. So we need to maintain aseptic conditions when we are dealing with cocoons. And then you need cellulose. It's a plastic or a black color equipment. What is going to happen with this? It is used to pair the oviposition to provide partial darkness so that this favors the maximum. So this is the cellulose. So this favors the maximum, what do you call it, fertilization of the eggs. Of course, you need a microscope. Moth examination is going to take place immediately after the egg laying, so that in case there is any kind of pebrine disease, it can be identified. I had told regarding the moth examination, you're going to take the pupa, gut of it, and then you're going to scrape, add it to the what do you call it, potassium hydroxide, and then you're going to put it under the slide and then check it. So this is the reason why you will get, you need the microscope as such. Then you have the moth crushing set, mortars and pestles basically. They are going to use the to grind the moths after the oviposition. Liquid is taken to be examined under the microscope for any kind of pebrine spores, pebrine disease basically. So in case there is any kind of disease that has been identified, that whole batch will be discarded. Same can be done by a machine and a pebrine separator as well when it comes to the moth crushing set. Of course, examination table is necessary with the microscope and all the essential paraphernalia kept on the table. And then you need a dry and a wet thermometer. That is for measuring the room temperature and your relative humidity. How much amount of moisture is there in that particular room. Hygrometer again is an instrument that is going to measure the relative room humidity. And then you need an acid treatment bath wherein, this is used to loosen the egg preparation so that, you measure the specific gravity of the salt. Now you need a feeding stand. This is where the trays are kept with the cocoon moths in them. And this is used to keep the rearing tray also to examine the worms. So you need a wooden stand as such. So the grainage activities are going to be continuous. So can be performed, and this tool, obviously this feeding stand will have multi-purpose uses. You need a deflossing machine. So this deflossing machine, see, I told you, this is the loose egg container, moth crushing set, porcelain, mortar pestle, cellulose, and then different types of trays. And this is your microscope. And then when it comes to the deflossing machine, used to defloss the cocoon before the preservation, so that the moths emerge out of it. This mechanical equipment is going to be operated by a pedal. Of course, you can do it by machine also nowadays, but deflossed cocoons are going to be collected and preserved. Now you have something called as the cocoon cutting machine, wherein the pupae are removed out of it, and then this is an important drainage activity, and you have a mechanized equipment. So you can see, you can just stand over here and then push the pedal up and down so the deflossing machine take place. Of course, this is your dry and wet bulb thermometer, hygrometer that is there, measures the relative humidity. This is the cocoon cutting machine, acid treatment bath, loose egg container, acid tub, hydrometer, thermometer, and different in the sprayer just for disinfection. Crates for storing the male moths in the refrigerator so that they are used according for mating. And a refrigerator, of course, for used for synchronization of the moths to preserve the male moths for the second pairing. So as to perform the different kinds of what do you call it, the mating purposes, you can use the male moths. So for second pairing also you can use it. That is why what you do, you hibernate them using refrigerators. And then you need an incubator to incubate the eggs. This is going to be maintained at a very low temperature, because we are not going to talk about high temperatures at all. 23 to 25 degrees Celsius, and you have a relative humidity of around 80 to 85% for the proper even development of the embryo. Now we have a formaldehyde mat, which is a gunny bag or cloth piece that is present on the iron tray, and it is soaked in 2% formaldehyde, kept it in front of the room so that every person, whoever gets in, should keep their feet in the tray for disinfection. It's a basic disinfecting method. Mask necessary. We are using mask for everything right now. So, of course, to prevent any kind of contamination and for us to not fall sick, we need to use the mask, because formalin is not good for health. Formaldehyde, if at all you have had any kind of experience with it, it is bound to be having a very sickly sweet odor, and it actually it is an irritant to a person. So yes, so you should not inhale much of formalin. Of course, other equipment is there: AC, cooler, boxes, cover gloves, electric stove, whatever you call it, clock, everything. So that all of this equipment is extremely essential for the proper functioning. Of course, preservation of the eggs, preparation of the eggs, right from mating to egg laying to preservation of the eggs to cocoon formation to the pupal formation, all of it. And everything should have proper disinfection regularly performed. Everything should go well. What are the different kinds of disinfectants that are used? Either in the form of a spray or in the form of dust, or the complete room is with vaporized, that is your fumigation. Chlorine compounds like chloramines, hypo, iodine, iodophores, phenol derivatives, and of course, you have different formaldehyde, bleaching powder, sodium hypochlorite, benzyl chloride, lime powder, etc. All of this has to be disinfected. And then you see that all the effectiveness of this disinfection depends upon the concentration, temperature, where it is being sprayed, the humidity, the drainage, rearing room, including the equipment. And they're all first cleaned to remove the dirt, dust particles, then fresh water. Then you use clay, lime, cement, etc. Now spraying is also done. Again, 0.5% sodium hypochlorite, 5% bleaching solution for about 10 minutes. Then you're going to dry them. Then you have net foam pads. You use formalin for that. Bigger equipment are sprayed with 2% formalin. And this may, if at all you spray the formalin on metallic surfaces, then it can rust. So this also has to be taken care of. So drainage and the rearing rooms are sprayed with 2% formalin. Ideal room temperature should be around 25 degrees during the disinfection, so that there is a quick diffusion of the formaldehyde gas. In case we increase the temperature, it is hazardous to the different kinds of cocoons or eggs, all of that particular, the silkworm basically. And the proper time for disinfection is 11 a.m. After spraying, the room should be closed at least for 1 day. And like I told you, formalin causes irritation in the nasal mucosa, eyes, for the skin hardens. So we need to put in face mask, gloves, etc. while we are doing this particular disinfection. See, this is the formalin mat. Now, when we do fumigation, disinfection in the gaseous form is called as the fumigation. In this, we see it is done or effective only in the airtight rearing areas. And what is going to take place over here? Again, you're taking formalin solution, and according to the room size, you're going to calculate, dilute it to around 4 to 5 times. Slowly, the formalin gas comes out. You should see that there are no chemicals and there is no fire that is going to take place. Then, if it is necessary, you need to fumigate at least 4 to 5 times. Temperature of around 20 degrees or higher, 70% above humidity is preferable. Metallic equipments, because if you directly apply the formalin, it is going to get rusted. So this method is very effective. So required strength of the formalin is around the strength of the original formalin minus strength of the formalin required by the total strength of the formalin required. Or you can say quantity of the formalin that is required for fumigation is the required concentration into the required quantity of the solution available by the available concentration of the commercial formaldehyde. Now, when the seed production process is there, over here we are going to see that the local races of the silkworms, they adapt to the kind of climatic condition which is present in a country, but then this yields poor silk cocoons. Again, Chinese and Japanese exotic varieties produce superior quality of the cocoons, but they do not tolerate the local conditions of a country. Thus, what can, they are not exactly used for at least the commercial production. But the exotic varieties having a superior yield and quality, they are going to be combined with the strong, resistant local variety. So you're going to get a pure, I wouldn't say pure, but you're going to get a hybrid silkworm. So the bivoltins and the multivoltin pure races, they're going to be reared systematically so that, you're going to get a crossbred. So certification of the disease-free laying, that is DFL, is a must do. Now we have to produce or maintain the stock. Okay, so to produce good quality stock, there should be a good sound seed organization wherein we have to take care of or consider the importance of seed quality and also to impart the training and so that we have a network of institutions that produce the egg and also to impart the training to the staff that are present or that are working in the grainage. Silkworm seeds are of two types, that is, like I told you, the reproductive and industrial seeds. Then, when it comes to the reproductive seeds, they are used for producing the seed cocoons, and that is the parents of the seed cocoons. They are required in large quantity or large number. The main purpose is to maintain the purity of the different races. Now, when it comes to the selling price, 30 to 50% more than the reeling cocoons. These seeds are multiplied in a number of series of breeding centers that are called as the breeding stations. Like I told you, P4, P3, P2, P1, these are the ones, the breeding stations. Industrial or commercial seed, you're going to see that these are specific hybrids between two or more pure lines of races of silkworm and reared by normal rearer to produce the commercial seed cocoons, so only for the reeling purpose. These seeds are produced in the grainages. Seed rearers are going to be selected by the sericulture department that is present in the grainages. Now, seed cocoons should be healthy, hygienic, and preserve the local racial characters and also the getting of the seeds, that is the procurement of the seeds, is going to be on certain standards that have been already fixed by the government, and they include the different races and they are seen in the different seasons. So ideal climatic condition, they should be free from diseases and exclusively they should form the have the purpose of reproduction. So what are the different kind of norms for seed cocoons? These are the characters like you see egg laying, percentage of hatching, then ERR, and then you have your pupation rate, number of cocoons per kg, shell ratio. And for bivoltin and multivoltin, how is it going to be? So number of cocoons per kg of bivoltin is not going to be above the 700, whereas multivoltin that is about not above the 1000. Shell ratio should be around 18%. Shell ratio should be around 12%. All of these other factors that are present in commercial shells, that is your ERR, then your pupil weight, shell ratio, all of these, filament length, floss, denier, raw silk percentage, rendita. So these will influence the price. Now, how are you going to procure the seed cocoons? So they should be produced under proper climatic conditions. They should be free of disease and they are used only for the purpose of reproduction. So, and they also have the racial characters. So, in practice, the cocoons are actually raised in the seed areas. So, quality of the cocoons is going to determine the quality and the productivity of the seeds. So, the cocoons should be very good. And the kind of cocoons that you are procuring for the seed production should be of a very good standard. And keeping all of these, you have different standards that have been set based on the different races and the season in which it is going to be reared. So, purchase of the cocoon has to be seen by the extension staff and health certificate inspection upon inspection should be given. For the febrile disease, you have the gut examination of the pupae must be conducted before the purchase of the pupae, the cocoons. The seed crop should be free from diseases, especially the febrile disease. Seed crop should also be reared under ideal conditions and fed with nutritional mulberry leaf. Good survival rate of the seed crop should be there, high pupation rate, and then good cocoon weight, and then all cocoons that are not going to be having such kind of characters of the race will not be purchased at all. So the average yield of the cocoon should be based on all of these, and that is when the prices are fixed. So as per these standards, like I told you, the rates are fixed. Purchase officer should certify the quality of the cocoon and its disease freeness. Details of the rarer, quality, quantity, race, spinning date, cost, total amount, name of the market, all of these details should be sent to the grainage along with the cocoons. So what are the characters that we are looking at? Egg laying, percentage of hatching, then ERR, and then pupation rate, then your number of cocoons per kilo, and shell ratio. So, after confirming all these above factors only, then you're going to set the price. And then once your price is fixed, basically you get to see that you're going to see that there are certain norms that we are talking about that are periodically revised by the government so that it favors the seed cocoon producers. The yield of the cocoons must not be less than 30 kgs per 100 disease free layings on the day of the marketing in case of bivoltins, and 20 kgs per 100 DFLs in case of multivoltins. So your effective rearing, that is your effective rate of rearing, is one important thing. That is when you get around 20,000 cocoons per DFLs, which is around 30 kilos, and this is around 18 kilos. So principles of for the price fixation include, you see that standard cocoons bivoltin 650 per kilo, multi-voltin 1000 per kilo. This is a standard rate fixed by the government from time to time. And cost of kilogram of cocoon is standard rate into number of standard cocoons per kilo by number of cocoons per kilogram of the farmer. So you have a different form, problems that are given when, they have like 40 kilos of bivoltin and weigh is like 620 number per kilo. Standard rate is around 450 per kg. So what happens is you're going to get standard rate into 650 per kilo by 620, which is your number of cocoons per kilo of the gram. So you have problems of it. How is it that you're going to transport this? Now, this seed cocoon safely should be transported from the production center to the egg processing centers. So you get to see that we need to show, what do you call it, we need to see that they are safely transported, and then during the transport the cocoons and the pupae are not going to be affected in any manner, or and if the heat gets increased, that is when the moth emergence is going to be affected. So the seed cocoons are harvested on the 5th or the 6th day after spinning, and this is the time most suitable for transportation. If the pupa has turned dark brown color and is hard to touch, then the seed cocoons can be transported. And after this, at the late pupal stage, if you transport, it is damage causing. Best time for transportation of seed cocoons is the cooler hours of the day. That, like I already told you, early morning or late evening. Hot days damage the pupa. This leads to the heating up of the cocoons. So you either get weak moths or poor egg lay number. And seed cocoons should be loosely packed in containers, that is your cloth bags, bamboo baskets, etc., perforated so that there is a lot of air going through and coming, aeration, and each container is perforated and they're present horizontally in rows. And preliminary examination, like I told you, what do you call it, pupil gut examination is there, and forced eclosion. So pebrine spores, they're going to be in the gut region, so you're going to take the pupil gut and examine it under the microscope. Beginning of the infection difficult to identify. So to overcome this, what is going to happen is take 1 or 2 cocoons, put them in temperatures which are high, that is 30 to 32 degrees Celsius for early eclosion. Now, these moths are going to come 2 to 3 days out of the cocoon, so they are going to emerge. That is when you can take the moths and then search or see for pebrine spores. But then before doing that, you can perform both cocoon pupil examination as well as your forced eclosion, so that in this manner it's going to be slightly better and you have an idea whether that particular batch is good or not. Each test you take around 2 to 3 smears and 8 to 10 fields carefully, and then check if the spores are present. They are going to be as oval shiny bodies under the 600 magnification. Then what is going to happen? You're going to stop that batch then and there. you're going to and then immediately dispose them off for reeling. So that lot of cocoons, labor, material, all of it is um, saved in fact. Later, about 10 male, 10 females are going to be weighed. Individual weights are taken. Then the shell weight is seen, cocoon weight, silk ratio, all of this, so that you get to know the quality. So shell ratio, filament length, denier. Denier is your reeled silk weight by the filament length. And how are you going to get into 9,000? How are you going to get the filament length? One revolution of the approved weight or 400 revolutions on the approved weight, which is around 415 meters. How are you going to process the seed cocoons? Now, this is known as cocoon sorting. What are you going to do here in processing of seed cocoons? Sort the good and the bad cocoons. They are all separated from the cocoon lots. And then you should see and declare that they are free from the pebrine diseases and they are preserved for the egg production. Then they have to be separated. Then you calculate the percentage or the quality and the of a percentage of the good cocoons, percentage of the bad cocoons, and then the bad cocoon. Then you have to do the good quality of the good cocoons is taken, confirmed according to the breed, selected, preserved. Bad cocoons, what are you going to do with it? They are either stifled, killed, or sent to the cocoon market because it is not healthy for you to keep such kind of cocoons in the grainage. You have to do deflossing of the cocoons so as to easily facilitate the eclosion, that is the emergence of the moths. So like I told you how to calculate bad cocoons, weight of bad cocoons by total number of cocoons weight into 100. A percentage of good cocoons, again same weight, or total number of good cocoons by total number of cocoons into 100. How are you going to do preservation of seed cocoons or pupae? Good cocoons are arranged in a single layer in bamboo tray, and around 1000 to 1200 multivoltine cocoons or 800 to 900 bivoltine cocoons are going to be arranged in the stands in each tray. Then pupae are stored in wooden rectangular trays, and you should not have any kind of overcrowding, so this leads to pupal mortality. Proper temperature and humidity is maintained, proper darkness, light should be minimal, and then the higher the temperature, then the lower will be the emergence rate. At a temperature of 30 and above, eclosion rate gets reduced to minimum and male sterility sets in. So you see that the temperature does not exceed 30 degrees at any point of time. And at lower temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, the eclosion is delayed, egg laying period is extended. So both above and below temperatures are not going to be there. So you need to maintain a standard set of temperature, which is around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius. And the trays are covered with perforated paper through which the emerged moths make their way out. And so that, this facilitates easy picking of the moths for coupling. So you can see how the preservation of the seed cocoons are there. If you actually carefully notice, you can see the cocoons that are present in each tray. Industrial seeds, they're hybrids. So you can see the male and the female, they're sexually also you can make out the difference in fact. And you can see the genital markings over here. So they are going to be different. So when the hybrids and the races are separated, if they're not separated before the emergence, then sexing helps in actually the hybrid preparation. So at the pupal or the moth stage, they're separated, or but then separating the sex at the moth stage is going to be harder, more laborious, needs more vigilance than the when you're comparing it to the moth like the pupal stage. At the pupal stage, when you're distinguishing between both the sexes, then it is the best period, and especially when the pupa is 2 to 3 days old. Pupae are dark brown in color, hard to touch, and you can see easily the sex markings that are there. So any skilled worker can actually separate around 10,000 to 12,000 pupae in just 8 hours, and there is hardly 5% error. Of course, mechanically it can be done, but then what happens is around 20 to 30% of error is there. So always, if you see, it's better if it is a worker who can separate the male and the female moths. Again, differences. Male is small in size with narrow and tapering abdomen. Tapering abdomen, you see here. And the female is larger in size with a broader abdomen, and a dot-like structure on the eighth abdominal segment is present in the male, whereas an X mark on the eighth. So you just like see basic. So this is all about your grainages. Basically, they are the centers for production of large scale quality quantity of disease-free layings of the worms. And then you have different kinds of prerequisites, the kind of building location, equipment, technical staff, all of this has to be maintained. And then the equipment also has been mentioned. What is the kind of disinfection necessary for maintaining the disease-free condition and disease-causing germs? And then you see seed cocoons that are produced under this ideal climatic conditions are usually used for the purpose of reproduction, and you have certain norms, conditions necessary for fixing of the price of the cocoons, and the government usually favors the seed cocoon producers. And then you have to carry the seeds from the production centers to the egg processing centers, proper transportation, and that also we have seen. Preliminary examination of the disease-free condition, that is your pebrine disease, is done by pupil gut examination and forced eclosion. And then you have cocoon sorting, where you're going to sort between the good and the bad cocoon separated from the cocoon lots. And again you see for the pebrine disease, and then you're going to be arranging those in a single layer in bamboo trays with around 1000 to 1200 multivoltine cocoons or 800 to 900 bivoltine cocoons by arranging them in the stands. Checking out and separating the both the the male and the female has to be done. Industrial seeds are hybrids basically of two or more, so this has to be done basically. And if they're not separated before the emergence, that is your eclosion, then pairing occurs in the same race. So sexing actually helps in true hybrid production. So this is all about your grainages. Now when we look at the silkworm seed production, you see that we have to do synchronization of the moth emergence, then the selection of the moths for coupling and decoupling. What exactly is oviposition? What is a flat card method, loose egg preparation, effect of environmental conditions, and the kind of examination, surface sterilization, assessment of layings, characters of the layings. Now you see grainage produces pure and hybrid seeds. So you need to see that commercial egg production centers have a direct link with the seed rearers. So always you have intense measures taken to produce the good quality seeds. How are the seed production, or how is the seed production taking place? So first is you need to synchronize the moth so that there is going to be emergence of the moth, so that it can be if one race takes around 2 days more from the incubation to the eclosion, that is emergence, then it should be incubated 2 days earlier. So you can either do it by putting it in an incubator or by refrigerating the cocoon or the pupae. So what will happen is this will delay the moth emergence. On the similar lines, they can be refrigerated. So pupae of around 2 to 3 days old are just taken at the time of emergence. They are ideal for refrigeration. These male pupae and moths can be refrigerated up to or for 7 days. Female pupae moths can be refrigerated for around 2 to 3 days. Ideal temperature is around 5 degrees Celsius. You have to have a humidity of around 65% for the cocoons and pupae and 75 to 80% for the moths. Now, what is this moth emergence? This moth emergence after spinning the cocoon lodges inside the cocoon, transforms into the pupa. The pupa later metamorphoses into the moth, comes out of the cocoon. So this process of the moth coming out of the cocoon is called as a moth emergence. And this is going to take place around 9 to 14 days of spinning. But according to the age, the age varies according to the season it is present in. Multivoltine races are going to come out earlier, followed by the China, Japan bivoltine races. So finally, this moth emergence can be predicted by the pupil and the cocoon characters. So a day before they become moths, the pupae appear soft, dark in color. They have a loose pupal skin. You have prominent eye formation, wing parts, appendages, etc. This is due to the formation or transformation of the pupa into the moth. moths so that they can come out of the pupa. Temperature is around 25 degrees Celsius, 75 to 88% humidity is necessary. And on that expected day, from morning at 4 to 6 p.m., you can emerge. So you can have bright lights. In fact, moths start emerging from 6 to 8 a.m. In fact, they are picked up, kept in a tray for urination. See, they are insects altogether. So yes, there is a little bit of urination. Healthy moths are taken. Then they are taken for coupling or preservation. Emergence decreases as the day goes forward. That is, as the daylight intensity increases. After 8:30 a.m., moths do not emerge. Room must be closed. Dark light is provided on the subsequent days of emergence. Moths emerge only for 3 to 4 days only. Sometimes, due to the mistakes in the sex separation, moths of other sex mix and emerge moths. And what happens is the emerged moths may. Then what will happen? Such kind of pairs that are there are going to be rejected. So when the moth is ruptured, what happens is the pupal skin is going to be ruptured. You have the cocoon over here. The pupal skin is ruptured, secretes an alkaline juice that is present, and at the same time it makes it the whole thing wet. Then the moth uses its legs slowly to crawl out and wriggle out of the cocoon. And after coming, it just stretches its wing in about 5 minutes. And then slowly, after passing urine, the male moths especially are going to actively move about in the tray. How are you going to select the moths for coupling and the decoupling? So what is going to happen? Those that do not have proper wings and exposed body are rejected, the unhealthy ones. So only the healthy moths are taken for mating. Around 300 to 400 male moths are collected in a fresh tray into which the male moths are, that are actually good are going to be broadcast over the females gently. Then what happens? The moths pair for around 5 to 10 minutes. Then the leftover moths that are unpaired are going to be collected in another tray. If the males are available in excess, they should be preserved at 5 degrees Celsius. You can do the pairing again. Second time pairing. Each paired moths are kept in cellulae. See, these are the cellulae in an arranged position so that, and they are kept in dark room for 3 to 4 hours. So what happens is that OV position is going to determine so that you have what do you call it, the in a span of around 3 to, see, this is the OV position of the egg laying. In fact, in a span of 3 to 4 hours of mating, male moth ejaculates around twice. Then the first ejaculation occurs just after half an hour, and second after the 90th minute, that is 1.5 hours. Then pairing for another 4 to 6 hours is taking place, and then this completes the coupling to fertilize. Maximum number of eggs. External fertilization is taking place. They are insects. Further, it favors uniform age of the eggs. It is also helped to carry on the acid treatment. Now, the pairing process should be completed before 8 a.m. Cannot be carried for around 8 to 12 p.m. So you can see this is the cellular arrangement for egg laying. Mating is taking place, as you can see. This is the moth egg strings that are dissected, and these are the oviposition of the egg laying. You can just see how it is. These are the healthy moths. These are the deformed moths. 6 hours of mating, the moths are separated. This is called as depairing. The males are separated by holding the female, twisting the male gently without injuring the genitalia of the female. Now, male moths for the second pairing, you have already preserved certain male moths. So, at 5 degrees Celsius, so properly male moths that are preserved can pair for up to 8 times, but number of pairings decreases the fertilization rates. Thus, male moths will be conveniently used for 3 times only. And they are preserved at 5 degrees to 7.5 degrees Celsius for about only 4 to 5 days. Then, moths that are preserved in a single layer prior to the second pairing, the male moths preserved and released at room temperature for around 5 to 10 minutes. The second pairing duration for around, what do you call it, excuse me. Let me share screen again. Just a second. Right. So second pairing duration is around 4 hours with a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius and 80% humidity. Eggs that are produced, it is one of the most important phases in the grainage, and all of it, the complete grainage industry, sericulture industry is going to be based on the grainage activity only. So you need to have proper disease-free layings. This will only help in the good economical and viable industry of sericulture. Now, silkworm eggs are divided into hibernating, non-hibernating eggs. In the hibernating eggs, the embryo develops only halfway, undergoes dormancy, this is called as a diapause, and hatches out in the spring. Non-hibernating eggs, embryo develops immediately without undergoing any kind of dormancy period or diapause and hatches out in the normal way. So, univoltines lay diapause eggs, that is hibernating eggs. Multivoltines lay non-hibernating eggs. So, this behavior of bivoltine eggs is either intermediate. It can be diapause eggs or non-diapause eggs. This trait will change based on the environmental conditions around. So, silkworms are broadly divided into univoltine, bivoltine, multivoltine based on this particular trait. Oviposition. After decoupling, you have the females are placed on the paper, tapped to induce them also to pass out urine. Later, moths are placed on the egg cards, then covered individually with cellulae or moth funnel. So there is darkness. It is not prepared. It is not disturbed. Loose egg is produced wherein 500 to 100, 550 to 100 moths are put on a glue-coated craft paper placed on a tray which is closed on all the sides. The moths normally lay eggs from around afternoon onwards, and early night you have peak stage. So multivoltines lay around 300 to 400, univoltine and bivoltine lay around 400 to 500 eggs in 24 hours. Oviposition room is kept dark by closing all the lights and doors and windows. Temperature is around 24 plus and minus 1 degree Celsius, so 23 to 25 degrees Celsius. Humidity is around 80%. Low humidity dries up the gummy substance of the ovipositor secreted by the female. So this will obstruct the egg laying. So that is why you need 80% humidity. As a result, we get less number of eggs in case it gets dried up. Two types of egg laying is seen. Basically, segregated egg laying has two methods. One is your Pasteur's method, and then that is followed in Japan and China. Then cellular bag method, which is followed in European countries. And then you have a mixed egg laying that is again having two methods, flat card and loose egg method. In the flat card method, it is used for industrial egg production on a large scale. Egg sheets contain around 20 to 42 squares arranged in a 60 to 90 centimeters tray. Each female moth is kept in a square covered with cellulae. Such trays are arranged in a wooden tier and placed in the oviposition room. The moth samples are taken, checked for disease, and advantage is that basically if at all there is any pebrine disease, then they are eliminated then and there. Only the reproductive seeds are prepared on the cards. So female moth laying eggs and the egg card that is present. You can just see over here. In the loose egg preparation, again, that is a flat card method, except that eggs are laid on the smooth side of the craft paper on the starch paper that has a gum to it. So large number of moths are going to be present on that particular and then they are also taken as samples for examination. And this is seen in commercial seed production. So arrowroot or maranta starch. Arrowroot starch, you get it in most places. So that is added so as to create a paste. It's a very it's a very organic gum paste. And then when that is 10, these sheets are spread on the wooden tray, and then the moths are taken for urination, transported into the oviposition room. Moths are allowed to lay the eggs for 1 to 2 days, and for the next 15 days, moths are removed for examination. Then again, the egg sheets or the cloth soaked in water for 15 minutes, gently brushed to remove the eggs from the cards. You're going to use bleaching powder for around 5 to 10 minutes so as to remove the gum so that the eggs don't form into clumps. Then these fertilized eggs are taken Of course, you have to check the specific gravity as well. Acid wash will help you in that. And then the fertilized eggs having a specific higher gravity sink into the solution. Floating eggs with low specific gravity are rejected. Good eggs are washed again in water with 2% formaldehyde. And then again washed, dried. Then the eggs are packed in a box containing around 20,000 eggs. Boxes sealed, labeled, and then quality, quantity, time of egg laying, date of egg laying, how many multivoltane gram of eggs has around 2000 eggs, which 1800 in bivoltanes. So you just see the yield of eggs as such. Smearing of the gum, this is the oviposition, soaking of the seeds, loose egg collection, degumming, and then loose eggs box. So advantages is that basically it is easy for mass production and and also you get to see that the it is easy for mass production, handling, transportation, incubation, and elimination of poor quality unfertilized eggs can be done. Surface sterilization, acid treatment more effective so that you're going to get good yield, more accurate than the sheet eggs for comparison, like individual yields raise then the region, the season wise yields, and it is different for different sheet eggs. And loose egg production, that is the sheet egg production. And this is